So, dear
Apologies, dear educators. Let's begin once again. A very good evening, everyone. A warm welcome to all esteemed educators, school leaders, and stakeholders dedicated to shaping the future of education. At NTAB, we believe in fostering meaningful conversations that empower educators with insights into the evolving academic landscape. Your active participation in our previous sessions has been truly inspiring, and we are excited to bring yet another insightful discussion to this platform. Have you ever wondered what are the most significant changes introduced in the NCERT 2025 curriculum for grade 6 and grade 3? How do these updates align with the NEP, that is National Education Policy 2020, and its vision? What support systems should schools establish to ensure a smooth transition? Well, today's webinar focuses on a significant and timely topic: NCERT curriculum changes 2025 for grade 6 and grade 3. With the recent updates to curriculum, it is crucial for schools, teachers, and administrators to understand these changes and their impact on teaching and learning. In this session, we will explore detailed breakdown of NCERT syllabus updates, practical tips for classroom implementation. Let's head on to understand how we can make the most of the session today. Kindly share your full name and school's name in the chat box. Certificates will be awarded to active participants who stay for at least 50 to 55 minutes and have registered. Use the chat box to share your thoughts, queries throughout the session. We will address as many queries as possible in the dedicated Q&A round. It's time we meet our panelists from NTAB. This is Drishti, Managing Academic Operations and Teacher Training, and serving as the moderator for today's session. We have with us Ms. Tanushri Deb, Head of Academics, Ms. Gunja Narang, Head of Biology Department, Ms. Mikhala Chaudhary, Head of Mathematics Department, Ms. Nitika Pal, Master Faculty Mathematics, Ms. Shamali Sen, Master Faculty Social Science. Let's embark on this journey together to uncover the answers. With that, I now invite Ms. Tanushri to take us into today's insightful session.
A very good evening to one and all present. We will proceed with the session, taking up NCERT grade 6 and grade 3. What are the changes that has been incorporated in the new book? Teachers who are teaching higher classes, senior grades, or even the primary teachers, it's not specifically for grade 6 or grade 3. You can also understand well that with the upcoming books from grade 7 onwards, what changes will be incorporated and what sort of changes we have to bring in our teaching methodology, as well as the techniques that we need to use to make the learning process more engaging. We will start with World Around Us, grade 3. Then we will move ahead with mathematics, and we will also see the changes. I would say there is a lot of change which I would like to add over here, specifically for social science for grade 6. The teaching approach will change. We have to look in that how we have to empower ourselves, train ourselves for the new session, the upcoming session, with the new changes that has been incorporated in the NCERT book. So over to Gunja ma'am for World Around Us.
Thank you, ma'am. Very good evening, everyone. So, dear teachers, as you are already aware, as per NEP and NCF, World Around Us is considered as a separate subject from the preparatory stage. That means it has to be officially taken up from grades 3 to 5. So, reforms have been suggested in the teaching learning methodologies for these grades. And in considerations with the suggestions, NCERT has proposed to release new books for grades 3 to 5. And as of now, the new book for grade 3 has been released. The name of this book is Our Wondrous World. Now, before we dive into the contents of the book, we need to understand the learning standards as proposed by NCF. These standards are actually the benchmarks which we are expecting our learners to achieve. Now, NCF has listed these as indicators in the form of curricular goals, and each curricular goal is basically a broad vision of the skill which we want our learners to achieve. And each curricular goal is then mapped with respective competencies. So at the end of grade 5, we expect our children to attain them. Now, these standards have to become an integral part of our lesson plan, which is the very crucial step in the teaching learning process. Your planning has to be done with utmost efficiency, ensuring that we move towards attaining these competencies. So today we will discuss about the chapter Getting to Know Plants for grade 3. As we proceed with the chapter, you will find how the NCERT book is able to establish a connect of the learners with their immediate surroundings as mentioned in the curricular goals. All the activities which have been given in this particular chapter focus on developing skills, wherein you have to act as facilitators and equip yourself with the right kind of resource. You will also notice a lot of examples have been taken up from different parts of India, like Khejri and Amaltas. Such trees have been introduced to children. So the topic covered in this chapter was earlier taken up in the chapter The Plant Fairy for the old NCERT. And the approach which you will see in this NCERT has basically gone the major shift, which you will notice. A lot of other topics have also been used from the previous book. So now let's observe the reforms, specific changes, and how can we as teachers equip ourselves for the same. The new education policy NEP 2020 and the recently revised National Curriculum Framework NCF have reshaped the subject The World Around Us for grades 3 to 5 in the Indian education system. These reforms aim to make education more experiential, inclusive, and relevant to 21st century learners. There are a few key changes in the NEP and NCF for the world around us. It suggests an integration of experiential and inquiry-based learning. To adopt this approach, we have shifted from textbook-centric teaching to a teaching model that emphasizes on observation,
leaves floating on the surface of the water. Its stem is long, hollow, and lightweight, but its roots are fixed to the bed of the pond.
reflection,
Their eggs hatch into small tadpoles with long tails and no legs. They look quite similar to a young fish. A tadpole breathes through the gills present in its body. As a tadpole grows, it undergoes many changes in its body. After some time, a tadpole completely changes into an adult frog.
conceptualization, and active experimentation. If we take a look at the new syllabus for grade 3 for The World Around Us, the book Our Wondrous World fosters environmental consciousness and life skills from an early age. the number of chapters have reduced, making the content more consolidated and holistic in approach. The content in each chapter is mapped with the curricular goals and competencies. These competencies are listed in the NCF in an age-appropriate way, like CG1, that is Curricular Goal 1, explores and engages with the natural and socio-cultural environment in their surroundings. And the competencies mapped are C1.1, observes and identifies the natural, which includes insects, plants, birds, animals, geographical features, sun, moon, stars, planets, natural resources, and social, that is houses, relationships, components in their immediate environment. Similarly, CG 1.3, wherein they ask questions and make predictions about simple patterns. The other curricular goals are also well listed in the NCF and are well mapped with the chapters as given in the NCERT book. Let us take a look at one of its chapters, Getting to Know Plants. The learning journey begins with observation of a large variety of plants around them. Observation of the features of plants like their size, color, texture of leaves, presence of flowers, etc. And later categorizing the plants on the basis of their observed features. This aspect clearly defines the purpose of observation and gives a direction to the conceptual learning of the child. The journey includes activities which engage students in hands-on, experiential learning that fosters curiosity, critical thinking, and deeper understanding of the concepts. By connecting learning to real-life contexts and encouraging exploration, these activities aim to make education meaningful, joyful, and relevant to the students' everyday lives. So, the shift from rote learning to experiential learning is very well seen in this chapter. Also, this chapter lists examples of plants covering a wider geographical aspect pertaining to the large variety of plants available in India. Another interesting feature they have discussed is about the regional names of the plants, highlighting the importance of grounding learning in local contexts and traditional knowledge systems as suggested by NEP and NCF. Also, the assessments given in text and at the end of the chapter are not only knowledge-based but application-based questions assessing their understanding of the categorization of plants. The entire lesson is presented as a learning journey. Similarly, each chapter is theme-based and integrates learning with the world around them. Let's see how this approach can be incorporated in our everyday teaching learning process with the help of some tools.
All these efforts will be fulfilled when teachers are equipped with robust lesson planning, which saves their time, and maintain teaching standards throughout the sections. The teachers require collaborative learning spaces with data-driven insights through worksheets.
Look at this tomato plant. The part of the plant under the soil is called the root, and the part of the plant above the soil is called the shoot. The roots hold the plant firmly in the soil. As the plant grows, the roots go deep into the soil and support the plant. They absorb water from the soil for the plant. Plants cannot live without water.
So, teachers, as you have seen, to bring NEP and NCF's visions to life, we, you, parents, and technology must collaborate closely. You have to adopt a facilitator role and guide your students to explore and question. Parents should also encourage curiosity at home while technology provides the tools so that we all can expand the horizons of our children much beyond the classroom. By aligning pedagogy with the NEP's principles and leveraging the transformative power of technology, which is all around us and much more in our tech savvy learners, we have to prepare them so that we can navigate the world around us with curiosity, compassion, confidence, and develop the skills in them which the world is actually looking for. So, with this, I will just say that before we fill their cup of knowledge and skills, we need to fill our own cup. So remember that. And I think with this, we can move ahead. And now I would like to ask the maths team to share their insights for grade 6 NCERT book.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Good evening to one and all. We just explored the revised NCERT Grade 3 textbook for World Around Us. Similarly, NCERT has also updated mathematics textbooks for Grade 3 and 6. In today's webinar, our focus will be on new Grade 6 mathematics textbook, which is renamed as Ganit Prakash. Now, we all know that mathematics has a very important role to play in school education. But why do we teach mathematics? Well, as per NCF and NEP 2020, aims of mathematics education is to make students fluent in basic numeracy, develop their mathematical thinking, problem-solving capabilities, mathematical intuition, and foster joy, curiosity, and wonder among the students. Now, you all must be familiar with the curricular goals and competencies that are suggested by NCF for each stage. The chapters in the new grade 6 textbook has been very thoughtfully designed to support the achievement of these goals and objectives. Now, let's explore the key changes that have been introduced in the new grade 6 mathematics textbook. On your screen on the left-hand side, you can see the content list from the old book, and on the right-hand side, the content list from the new textbook has been displayed. If we look at the old book, earlier there were only 14 chapters, but now the chapters has reduced to only 10. Some of the chapters have been deleted as well, like knowing our numbers, whole numbers, decimals, algebra, ratio and proportion. These chapters are not the part of the new textbook. You all must have you all must be aware that in 2023 and 24, two chapters, that is symmetry and practical geometry, were deleted from grade 6 syllabus. But now, in the new revised textbook, these chapters have been included. A few chapters have been renamed as well, like playing with numbers is now prime time. Integers is now the other side of zero. Mensuration is renamed as area and perimeter. Practical geometry is now playing with constructions. Some content from chapters 4 and 5 from the old textbook has been included in chapter 2, that is lines and angles. Apart from this, two new chapters have been added to enhance the learning experience of the students. Now, moving ahead, let's see how the interdisciplinary connections have been established across all the chapters in the new textbook. Well, one notable example is the integration of art. Concept of symmetry, constructions have been very beautifully illustrated using the diagrams and the artistic representation. And this has been done to develop the visual and artistic imagination among the learners. Strong connection between mathematics and science have also been made. Now, for example, relationship between angles and motions have been explored through real life examples. Like you can see here, a girl is swinging. So, greater the swinging angle, greater will be the speed. In the next example, two children, they are playing with a game. So steeper the slope, the balls will roll faster. Similarly, the concept of negative numbers and zero have been introduced through temperature measurements. Now, this revised textbook also highlights the historical developments of various mathematical concepts, especially Brahmagupta's groundbreaking contribution in adding and subtracting the fractions and addition of positive numbers, negative numbers, and zeros. This has been done so that students appreciate the joy of discovery in mathematics. Now let's move ahead. As I mentioned earlier, that two new chapters have been introduced in the new textbook. So let's take a look at these new additions. Earlier, the first chapter was Knowing Our Numbers, which focused only on large numbers, comparing numbers, etc. But in this new textbook, the chapters have been taken differently. The approach is different. So you can see on your screen the snapshot from the new mathematics textbook. This chapter explores the patterns in number sequences and their respective pictorial representations. Now, this will make easy for the students to recognize the patterns and understand the pattern. This chapter, Patterns in Mathematics, also covers patterns in shapes, and it also encourages the students to understand the relationship between the shape sequences and the number sequences. Now, here comes the major role of the teachers. Now, teachers need to be very well prepared to explain these connections to the students. Well, with diagrams and pictorial representations, we can make students grasp these connections very effectively. Now, another important chapter that has been added is number play. Now, this chapter introducing many fascinating concepts like supercells, palindromes, Collard's conjectures, etc. Now, many of us might have came across the messages like today is the palindrome date, right? But for the first time, this concept has been formally included in the curriculum as an extension of patterns. Similarly, Collard's conjecture, which is a very well-known unsolved problem in mathematics, has been introduced as an extension of the number sequences. Now, these topics are new for both students and teachers. So, therefore, teachers should be well prepared and they should be familiar with them so that they can present these topics and these concepts in an interactive way to the students, and they can inspire students to explore and comprehend these mathematical patterns. Now, certain competencies that have been targeted during the teaching learning process of these chapters are pattern recognition, logical thinking, visualization skills, analytical thinking, problem solving abilities, critical thinking, and inquiry based learning. Now, the new textbook includes a variety of conceptual problems. So let's understand how the pattern of questions have changed in the new textbook. On the left-hand side, you can see the questions from the chapter Data Handling from the old book, which only asked the students to interpret the data and answer the straightforward questions. On the right-hand side, we have the snapshot from the new textbook, and the questions are from the chapter Data Handling, which has gone a step further. Now, this book has incorporated very thought-provoking questions like, how did arranging the data in ascending order help to answer these questions? Or are there other ways to arrange the data? These questions will encourage students to reflect on the concepts they have learned. Apart from thought-provoking questions, this book also includes questions that will enhance their analytical skills. On the left-hand side, you can see a pictograph, and an analytical question is asked that what could be the problem faced in preparing such a pictograph if the total number of students is 33 or 27. On the right hand side, an incomplete bar graph is given to us, and student has to find out the vertical axis. They have to read the bars and they have to place the correct numbers on the vertical axis. They have to first find out the scale and then they have to add the numbers. Similar kind of changes can be seen in the chapter area and perimeter as well. In the older edition, the questions were really based on direct application of the formulas. But in the new edition, students are encouraged to use the conceptual understanding to find the solutions. Like as you can see here, shape A has area of 18 square units. Shape B has area of 20 square units. And it has been given that shape A has a longer perimeter than shape B. You don't have to find out the perimeter here, but the question is to draw two such shapes which satisfies the given conditions. So this new textbook includes questions that will encourage them to use their conceptual understanding. This book also contains questions that are open-ended. That means they have to think beyond the fixed answers. As you can see here, in the first box, there are 4 numbers and a child has to find out how each number is special. One child may say that 5 is the smallest number. The other may say that 5 is the third prime number. So answers may vary, right? So perhaps, and this is the only approach which we are trying to give, that students should engage actively with the concept rather than just verifying the answer that my answer, and we don't have to encourage the rote memorization. So that's why there are no answer keys given at the end of this chapters or at the end of the textbook.
Hello, everyone. We have just seen how revised NCERT Grade 6 Mathematics textbook discourages rote memorization and encourages conceptual understanding and open-ended exploration. Teachers need to gear up and equip themselves with innovative teaching methods visual aids, and interactive strategies such as playway method, practical experimentation, and real-world examples to effectively guide students through these changes. In the next session, we will explore the updates in the NCERT Grade 3 textbook. For now, let's take a look at the key changes introduced in the new NCERT Social Science textbook for Grade 6.
Thank you, ma'am. A very warm welcome to all. Just like world around us and mathematics, NCERT has introduced a new book of social science for grade 6 titled Exploring Society, India and Beyond. This new content actually ushers in a new era in social science, teaching, as well as learning. NCERT has condensed the previously separate books of history, geography, and political science, along with the newly introduced economics, into one single book. As put forth by both NEP 2020 and NCF 2023, the content centers around experiential learning and activity-oriented learning rather than mere theoretical knowledge. So this will definitely make the curriculum more engaging for the students. So let us therefore discuss the new chapterization scheme first. Now, this is the index of the new NCERT book. It has 14 chapters, of which history has 4 chapters. The entire focus in history is now on India-specific facts that relate to Indian ethos and accomplishments. Second comes geography. It has 3 chapters, and the entire content has been rationalized, but the focus is again on unique Indian geographical facts. Next comes political science. It has 5 chapters. Now, the portion of political science has been increased considerably, and now the focus is on active citizenship, whereby children gather awareness about their rights and duties from this early age itself. The fourth subject is economics. It is for the first time that economics has been introduced at this grade, because we know it was previously being introduced at grade 9. So before we go ahead with the subject-wise analysis, let me share a few highlights of this entire content in a nutshell. The first emphasis of this content is on Indian knowledge systems, wherein greater focus is being given on India-specific knowledge. Second comes the alignment of the curriculum with NEP and NCF. Now, the entire content promotes holistic learning and critical thinking with a focus on experiential learning, as has been put forward by both NEP and NCF. Third comes the very important aspect of deductive learning, where students are being encouraged to know about general facts first, and then they move towards specific examples. Like, for example, to cite an example from the chapter in geography, landforms and life, the concept of island is defined first, then children are taught about the largest island in the world, which is Greenland, followed by the India-specific island details. The next important aspect comes simplification and structural changes. This to me is very important. As you know, lengthy, complex topics have been excluded from the curriculum. As you know, many a times it has been seen that students lose interest in lengthy topics. So in history, for example, the elaborate dynastic details have now been omitted. It may, however, appear in later grades. So the grade-specific learning approach has also been taken care of. Next comes practical and localized learning. Now, the entire content is oriented towards practical knowledge so that students explore their own environment, city, or village. Now, this is possible through learning by doing, But what if it is not possible? So in that case, we take the help of learning aids like a visual learning aid to learn about maps. Let's see an example for
The
this.
first landmark was a school. As he reached the school, he knew that he was on the right path. The next landmark on the map was a market. Amid the hustle and bustle of the market, Nick made his way through the crowded street and bought a bottle of juice for himself.
The next highlight is the introduction of economics. As I already said, that this is going to be a game changer, as not only economics is relevant in day-to-day life, but study of economics would help teachers also, as in many places in history, geography, and political science, economics is very well integrated. Moving on, the ultimate highlight of the entire content, I would say, is the cross-curricular linkage. We will see that historical facts have a geographical orientation and vice versa. And again, I would add that every chapter provides a scope for project-based learning, like art integration, interdisciplinary projects, which will be very interesting for the students. Now, let us quickly examine the subject-wise analysis of the entire content. To begin with, the old syllabus in history focused on topics like early human societies, development of agriculture, beginning of ancient civilization, and earliest cities. As a departure from this old content, the new syllabus is now oriented towards India-specific facts, like how India was named from River Indus. Then study of historical timelines are based on periods related to Emperor Ashoka, Lord Buddha, etc., which was previously more of Europe oriented. So a very interesting change is that Harappan civilization is being taught as Sindhu Saraswati civilization. So let us delve into a small clip from Harappan civilization.
Since Harappa was the first city to be discovered, all other places with similar buildings and other objects were named Harappan. These cities existed approximately 4,700 years ago.
Next comes geography. The old syllabus consisted of core geography concepts like Earth and the solar system, globes with latitudes and longitudes, maps, and motions of the Earth. Now, when we see the new syllabus, there are many commonalities with the old one with regard to the geography themes, but the content is much more rationalized and integrated. A good example would be the study of oceans and continents, which are now being taught together. And what is being focused upon is the interconnectedness of these two, so that children, they learn about how these two are interconnected and how they sustain life on this planet. Again, just like history, the focus is more on unique geographical facts about India. A key example is India's own prime meridian, the Madhya Rekha or the Ujjaini meridian that existed 1500 years ago, well before naming the Greenwich meridian. So these facts also provide an impression to the young minds about the contribution of India towards geographical knowledge. Next comes political science. The old syllabus included topics like diversity, discrimination, and functioning of government systems. While in the new syllabus, we see the emphasis is more on practical aspects of civic life, like grassroots feature of governance, which will orient a young mind directly towards the essence of democracy in India. So we can see a small clip.
The Gram Sabha is an assembly of all eligible voters who are 18 years or above in a village or a group of villages. The Gram Sabha elects their leaders to form a body of 5 elected representatives called the Gram Panchayat to run the village level local government.
Another very important and interesting concept that has been taught in political science is the concept of Bal Panchayat that helps in the understanding of the democratic rights from this young age itself. Last but not the least comes economics. Now, economics has two chapters. One is value of work and economic activities around us. Both these chapters, they will discuss core economic concepts, but to inculcate Indian ethos and concepts, the concept of seva has been introduced to initiate our young learners towards building inclusive societies, which to me is a very important addition. So, to round up the entire discussion on social science, I would say that this new book is completely aligned with the rootedness and pride in India thought of NCF. As NCF mentions that social science is education about the society. So now the challenge is on teachers that how we orient our students to provide them maximum exposure to real world situations through practical learning experiences, activities, and of course, integration of technology as envisioned in this new syllabus. Over to Drishti ma'am.
Great. So good to see the insights and the active participation throughout the session by our educators. I would now, as we proceed, we would now open the floor for a quick Q&A round, wherein I would also like to address and mention for one of the questions posted, how does the revised syllabus incorporate critical thinking and project based learning in various subjects? It was so good to see responses like students will have practical approach by giving them more activity based understanding and so on. So, dear educators, I would request each one of you to briefly share your questions in the chat box so that we can take up as many queries as possible. In the meantime, I would request Tanushri ma'am to share some insights on the same.
Yes, as we have just seen through the session that the way NCRT has brought the changes, I was going through the comments and I found one of the comment where it is mentioning what about other subjects. This was one of the most important one that has been mentioned. Definitely every subject there is a certain level of changes that is being observed, whether it is in grade 3 or grade 6, that is in mathematics, science, integrated science, and social science. Now, when it comes to like, if you have been throughout the session, you may have observed that if I speak in terms of mathematics, teachers who are teaching mathematics, you will observe that actually now it's not a direct approach. If you want to explain patterns to the students, or I would say teachers of grade 9, 10 or higher classes, tell the students, or that is the time when they study about sequence, then series. But here in grade 6, you are not teaching them directly. But when you are speaking about patterns, that means it is a more visual interpretation, critical thinking. Children will see, observe, and from their observation, the reflection of the observation is important, because when they observe, they draw inferences, and from the drawn inferences, it's a time then to conceptualize. So it's essential, we have to understand when CBSE is saying that we should move on to a more experiential learning. Experiential learning is what? If we speak about experiential learning, we can take an example of the COPE cycle. Many schools have already started with it. What does it say? That it is essential that when a child need to be aware of a particular topic, it is very important that first let the child experience. Through their experience, they observe. When they observe, they draw inferences from it, and finally they conceptualize. So whether it is whatever is suggested by Education Board in terms of CBSE, NCERT, or NEP guidelines or NCF, we have seen in our previous webinar series that how well as teachers, we need to empower ourselves, or actually, means I would say being a teacher myself, it's the time for exploration. The future is in our hand. When the government, when the education board, when NEP and NCF is suggesting for a more experiential learning lesson rather than rote memorization, it's essential that we have to bring a change in our method of teaching. In our previous session, I will continue with this a little bit more because it is also very essential that some of the questions, the queries that were put forward in the previous session, if you are unable to take it during the question answer round, even we see the comments that come under the YouTube link. Many times teachers has a concern about time management, because when you want to incorporate a lot of activity based learning in the class, where you have to integrate art, integrate sports activities, integrate field trips, then completion of syllabus becomes a challenge. We do agree with the fact. We all as a teacher know that even a 45 minutes that we get a day, 45 minute period, there is a challenge of completing a certain syllabus. But the purpose, the idea of this change that we need to bring in, we have to see that how well we manage the time. If you see this year 12th paper, because we have to relate with what is happening. It is observed more higher order thinking skill questions have been included. When will the child get motivated? It's not the time to learn the theorem, learn the proofs of maths and science, physics and all, and the diagrams. It's the time of understanding. It's the time of making the learning which is more application based. So until and unless children have the experience, they observe, they reflect, they draw inferences, it is very difficult that by the time they reach 10th and 12th, they will be in a position to solve such board papers. Any other questions that is coming up? I would like to know, Ms. Rishti.
Yes, ma'am. So we have a follow-up question where an educator says, how can we test the students for open-ended questions? And then another follow-up question based on the same, wherein it talks about how do we, is it time that we do more of case-based studies with our learners?
Yes. If you see the approach, we have to shift. Whenever, like, for example, even in our teaching learning process, if I am getting in the class and I have to teach about whether I see this word in itself, I have to teach, we have to move, or we have to transform our mental, the thought process from here to be a facilitator. The children are taking us as a facilitator. The reason is a lot of thing is open to them. Now they see, observe a lot, all the online, because after COVID, we all know what is the exposure of the child from the very small age, very young age, they are given a tab, a mobile and a laptop, because when there is an online class, are they not using it? So they are seeing a lot, they are observing a lot. So what we have to do is that direct approach, getting in the class and starting with a particular topic, we have to switch over. How we can switch over? You have to make it more thought-provoking. So I'm connecting it. If you have to make it more thought-provoking, that means you bring up the case-based learning. Case-based learning means what? You have to actually throw a problem in front of the students, let the children analyze that problem, and then come to the conclusion. You are a guide. You help them. You give them idea. But finally, the solution will come from their side. English teachers, if they are in the session in grade 9, 8, 9, 10, you have writing skills where analytical skill is being is considered. That means through charts and graphs and pie charts or bar graphs, they have to enhance their writing skills. It means what? You are integrating subjects. You are bringing practical things, what they are actually seeing around them or what they are going to experience. You're bringing that case and you are integrating it with your subject. So this is everywhere. If you have to teach, again, I'm saying, if you have to make children aware of, let's take that in magnetism, physics. But if you start with something like have you been to a hospital or a diagnostic center where you have seen an MRI machine? How does this work? MRI machines, teachers who are from chemistry, they know how it works. From physics, they know how it works. So it's actually integrating bio, physics, and chemistry. So until and unless you raise a question, a problem in the mind of the child, you won't be able to grasp their attention. It's very important. Bring up case in the class with the case study, start with the lesson planning, and let the teaching process go. Because, we all have done our B.Ed and we know what is about education, means what sort of methods we use. But what I am observing is we as facilitators, techniques has become more important than methods. Methods are the raw methods like lecture method, demonstrative method. These means we use this. But at the same time, that tool, question answer tool, the technique is very important, that you raise question, let the children find the solution to the questions. One, they move in step-by-step way, they will get an answer to it.
Thank you so much.
I will take one question. I was just going through one of them where somebody has mentioned that it takes time. We have to complete the syllabus, but what sort of support we are getting from the parents? Now, this is also important. Like if we are having webinar series, we are interacting with each other, we are apprising each other. See, it's not like, even when we are in such type of a session, it's not that you are only listening. We are also a part where we would like to know from you, what is your experience? It's a sort of a collaborative way. We need to identify the methods. Similarly, as teachers, as a school, as an organization, arrange for session online, offline with the parents, because parents need to be made aware that yes, there is a shift. एक दिन में नहीं होगा. It cannot happen in a day or not even in a year. But the shift, first, you know what happens? First is, I have to be confident. My confidence, if I am doing this session with you all, I am confident, I am positive that the change is required. So as a teacher, first you have to be positive, you have to be confident, then only you can convince the parents. So basically, it's like a chain. It will not happen in a day, not even in a year, but we have to start. Just thinking that the hurdles will be there, and to avoid that, once parents start seeing the difference, once they start observing the difference, you will get a positive feedback from them. Another thing I would add is, since parents are being involved, let me tell you why HPC activities have been included. We had this one session. If anybody has missed out the session, you can check on our YouTube session on HPC, which says that activities that you are doing, not all, but some of the selected activities that you are getting it done with the students in group, take a parent feedback. That means involve parents. You have to involve them. They should not be doing the holiday homework. That should not be, because this is where we have to work. That is a wrong method where parents are sitting during the summer vacation and doing the holiday homework. It is helping out no one. None of us, neither as a teacher, we are being getting any benefit, nor the students, nor the parents. Even parents have to understand that this is not a race. We have to take it. This is not a race that you have to make the best project. What the beautification of project is not important. what they are providing, their knowledge is important. So let children explore, give them that independent way of doing it. Any other questions?
Thank you so much, ma'am, for the insightful explanation. We have a follow-up question on the same, which where one of the educators say, but what about standardized assessment? What about classes 4 and 7 textbooks as well?
Yes. See, the purpose, as I started at the very beginning, the purpose of taking up this session was this cannot be done within a day. Today, you just got a glimpse about it. We have taken certain chapters to tell you that how the shift has been. Yes, we all are waiting, and NCERT has already apprised that since the grade 3 book is there, we have now the new updated NCERT 1, 2, 3, and the 6th. So 6th is giving an idea what is going to come up in 7th. If you just see history, there were more than 10 chapters in class 6th earlier. Now it has reduced to only 3. If they have introduced economics in class 6, definitely economics will be taken further, a little bit of higher level in class 7. So it's the same thing. I am also waiting. Our team is waiting. We all are waiting, but we know by 6th and 3rd book, it is very clear that what sort of changes can be expected in the coming year. Another very important thing we have to understand, how much are we putting a burden on the students? Why NCERT, why CBSE is emphasizing on an integrated world around us for 3, 4, 5? Why it is not giving separately science and social science? We know in many schools we have science and social science separately, but we have to understand how much is required. A class 3 students just getting a knowledge that what is X, Y, Z is not important. You do X, but do that X properly. So that is what NCERT has come up with. If you see the book of class 1 and 2, there is no world around us. There is no book on it. We have the English and we have a maths book. There the subject has been taken as the domains, the 5 main domains: physical development, socio-emotional and ethical development, cognitive development, language and literacy, and aesthetic development. But the book we have is of maths and English. In the English book, you will find they have taken topic related to science, that is about plants, animals, our community, neighborhood, and then they have moved on with the language part. Develop English language or Hindi with the topic of science. Similarly, in mathematics, the practical approach taking from the real life scenario, which is linked with science and social science, has been taken so that maths can be linked with it. So we have to understand till grade 5, the curricular goals, the competencies which NCF has suggested. It is saying this is the age where children have to experience. Don't judge a child, like if they're doing a project, don't judge or assess a child on the beautification or how huge the project is. You see how the child has been committed in doing. Had the child followed your instructions properly? Was the child able to perform in a team, in a group? Group activities, let them explore their skills. When we are saying that we need to enhance the 21st century skills, what? One of the most important thing is where a child understand from the very beginning that we need to work as a team. We have to collaborate. It can be both the way. I am the best is wrong. I am the weakest is wrong. When team works together, that is will develop, that how they move. So it's, we have to understand, we have to even make the parents understand that घर से एक अच्छा प्रोजेक्ट बना के भेज दिया, उसके नंबर नहीं मिलेंगे. बच्चे ने और 5 बच्चों के साथ कैसे प्रोजेक्ट किया, how they have performed with the other 5, keeping everyone happy, that is important. So we have to actually understand that what is the thought process behind such activity-based projects, why we need to incorporate, why should we have assessment. Please, we will also be having a webinar series on assessment. In our previous series also we have taken. Still, I would say very good assessment plans have been provided in this on the CBSE portal as well as Parak. Please go through it. well-defined assessment structure has been mentioned. Yes, in our upcoming series, we will also be taking up that how these, because what we have in mind is, first, let us apprise you all that what are the changes. Once we are aware of it, then we will move on to that how assessment will be done. But yes, assessment is not as it was earlier. It will be more competency based.
That was spot on, ma'am. Thank you so much for sharing your insights. A very quick last question we have, which is, asked by multiple educators, ma'am. So they would want to know, they are really curious to know, how do slow learners, below average learners, and the high performing learners adapt to such changes, and also will it benefit them? What are your takes, ma'am?
Yes, of course, because my last, wherever I have stopped just now with the discussion, I will take it in the same way. High performer and those we are not to that level. That is the reason we need to have team. That is the reason we should have a group activity. A child who is a high performance level has to have to understand that your performance is very good, but how you can help your peer to and empower them in a group. Even from that high performer, the one which is not of that level will sit, see, explore, and get motivated. So when it's like a team, yes, of course, there are challenges. Sometimes even basically this is going to happen in middle schools, means when a child move on to 5, 6, 7, at this grade, what they do is, if they know something, they ask the teachers to move. They don't allow, means they prompt that, ma'am, I know, let's move ahead. But a class is having all I would say categories of students. So teacher definitely has to see how fast to move, how much to take, because at the end, who are the best performers, they are smart, they will move ahead. The one who needs the maximum support is the one which is at the lower category, means where they really need to be motivated. So group activity is one of the option. And definitely when it comes to, I would say, from very beginning, why we say that HPC portfolio will become important, the reason is, if you are aware of it, assessment says that analyze a student in terms of stream, mountain, and sky. So achiever, high achiever who is at the level of sky, it's fine. With the portfolios, as we move from grade 1, 2, 3, we have to see what diagnostic tool need to be identified, that a child in grade 2, if he was at mountain, that dip should be not there in grade 3. That means it cannot come down from mountain to stream, because if it is happening, then there is somewhere some issues which, as a teacher, as a mother teacher, as a class teacher, we have to identify and bring a solution to it. So our diagnostic tool should be well designed. Anecdotal, again, I would say anecdotal we used to maintain before this board exam started in 2017, 16 and all. So basically anecdotal is one of the assessment tool you should have, that if in the month of July you are seeing a certain observation, your observation is there, in the month of September, has the anecdotal report improved? So you have to keep the step-by-step record of the anecdotal so that the change can be identified and thought of.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for these thought provoking explanations and your insights. So, with this, dear educators, we come to the end of our third session from our webinar series. I'd like to share, it's time to make learning more impactful, engaging, motivating, and very rightly said, adapting to new change. As educators, you play a pivotal role in this transformation. Your openness to adopting innovative approaches, exploring these dynamic strategies, and shaping young minds is truly admirable, teachers. So, I would like to extend sincere gratitude to our esteemed panelists from NTAP, and most importantly, to each one of you for your time, energy, and the active engagement. Your commitment to transforming education makes these discussions truly meaningful. So we hope today's session has ignited fresh perspectives and inspired you to keep learning, keep evolving, making teaching learning process highly engaging. So before we wrap up, a small note to all of you for your certificates. We kindly request you to please allow us 3 to 5 working days to process and share them. I would also like to mention the past 2 webinar certificates have already been dispatched. In case you feel you have not received, kindly check your spam boxes as well, as they have been rolled out. Let's keep this momentum going with greater zeal, enthusiasm in our next session as well. Thank you once again. We look forward to seeing you in our future sessions. Keep exploring, keep innovating, keep empowering your students. Have a wonderful evening. Thank you once